So on that point, we are all facing significant budgetary challenges, but we also have learned lessons from the deployment in Afghanistan. And one has been the importance of being mobile and deployable at long distance. And we have realized, of course, that many of the militaries that were built to fight the Soviet Union are not equipped properly or trained to face the kinds of challenges that present themselves. And so what we are doing both nationally and in NATO together is trying to think through this very challenge. How do we prepare not only to do what we need to do today, but be capable tomorrow? And this issue of being much more adaptable and rapidly deployable, lighter and more agile is very important. And there's a great deal of work we need to do with our allies to ensure that our allies are able to keep up with us as we move. Our technology is very advanced and it's very costly. And so one of the projects we have, as I noted in my remarks, is to work together to try to ensure that there is sufficient capability in NATO that we can continue to operate together.
May I?
Yes, absolutely, Petr.
I think that you're touching the most difficult issue of what NATO is now facing. It's the economic crisis on both sides of the Atlantic, denting the budgets for the military. And we have to admit that in Europe there are very few countries that honor its commitment to set aside 2% of its national product to the defense. The US has its own problems with budget cuts, and we first cannot leave that being. I think that we have to assure ourselves that while this is some phase, some crisis that we have to overcome, improving or increasing our military spending is the goal. But at the same time, we have to do better, obviously. The Article 5 is a good thing, but it doesn't say how we achieve the Article 5 capabilities. And you know that so far every state has been sort of selecting its own systems. The purchases are very much separate. And even though in Europe you have states that are very much one space, even from the strategic point of view, still it has been difficult to sit together and say, okay, we'll buy this, you buy that, we'll pool and share. And I think that this crisis, if it has to have any meaning, it should have this meaning that it will teach us to be smarter and to use our limited resources in a more effective way. You said some of the examples. I think that Jigis may talk about the policing over the air of the Baltics. I may inform you about a project to train helicopter pilots in the Czech Republic and in Croatia. That's a bilateral project. So these are signs that these countries are able to simply realize that it's no longer possible to do everything separately on our own, inefficiently, but there is a great push towards a much more smarter approach.
This would be a silver lining in a big gray cloud. Yes? One more thing?
Yeah,
yes.
I can just contribute in absolute agreement with you. Well, for example, in Lithuania, we are quite good with special forces who are fighting somewhere in the south of Afghanistan. We run the whole PRT in Gore. We even with the huge budget cuts that we had during economic crisis, we didn't touch the Afghanistan line. We are even thinking about increasing it. But at the same time, we have no funds to buy planes that would safeguard our airspace. And that's why this concept of Baltic air policing that hopefully will be approved in Chicago Council is so important. This is one of the examples of the smart defense where other NATO members are helping us to to do it. And as I was joking today, you know, that's maybe because of another virus we got from Chicago. It's basketball. We know how to play smart in defense, kind of, and that's working.